Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I am delighted that you have found me and are taking some time to join me today. So, this is going to be reading, I guess, 3 in the Canadian political situation. The election's coming up. So I want to take a look at that. And the U.S. political situation reading will be released right after this one sort of is released. So, Canada. So right now it appears as if the Liberals and the Conservatives are pretty much neck and neck. Kind of one's a little ahead, but by like a percentage point, so it doesn't count. So there's that. Elizabeth May, who is the Green Party, and Jasmeet Singh, and God, I hope I've said that right, is the NDP. So right now the NDP is a little bit ahead of the Green Party. So that's kind of where we're at. And what I thought was I was going to take a quick look at Singh and May and just see what that's looking like for them right now. So come on down and let's see what we can find out. Okay, so election may sing. Election may sing. Elections may sing. Okay. So, this is actually really interesting because this isn't actually talking about either of them. It's talking about the election as a general whole. So what we see here is it's as if every party is going to hit a rough patch and then smooth out. And then the next party's going to hit a rough patch and smoothed out. It's a very interesting dynamic in terms of what's going on. It seems as if about, 60% or so, from what I can figure out, of the electorate has sort of decided who they want to vote for. And so that leaves the other 40% to, they're still up in the air and those decisions still need to be made. But this is what I know. Okay, so that's what this is talking about. It's talking about, everybody hits a smooth patch, everybody hits a rough patch. This specifically is about the whole brown blackface Aladdin incident with Trudeau, and it backfired big time. So whoever was out to try to, cut him off at the knees and bring him down, they ended up actually helping him because, one, they looked like petty politicians, Trump style, and two, the Canadian people's attitude towards it by and large was it's disappointing, but it is not and never was his intention to be derogatory or cruel or insulting to anybody. And that genuineness about him comes through. And so it just ended up kind of backfiring against whoever perpetrated this. And what that has done is that has just given another layer of information to the Canadian people as they're making their decision. So, again, this is that election that I think there's going to be a lot of this, let's see how far we can push it. Let's see how Trumpian we can get. Let's see how staunch conservative we can get. And the bottom line is, and I wish these people would figure it out, the electorate is getting younger and better educated all the time. If you don't think that those kids right now who are in university, struggling with student debt, struggling to get a good education, are not paying attention to this election and do not have an interest, you would be really sadly mistaken. So on the one hand, the conservatives are trying to rein everything back and go a very, very conservative route. And you have the millennials, the kids in college, going, wait a minute, this is so not the country we want to live in. And basically, in a lot of ways, they're saying, listen, you guys, we gave you the chance to run the country. You've blown it. And you're not going to take us backwards instead of forwards. We're not looking backwards. And so really, the campaign that kind of figures out that those people are actually the ones they should be targeting. It's not the old white people in the farming communities, okay? It's just become more diverse than that. And in part, that is why you see the acceptance of Singh. You see the acceptance of May. They are kind of no longer considered skirting the edges. They are now considered a viable choice because a lot of people are looking what has happened in the last 50 years in Canada and saying, yeah, you know what? You are not representing who I am. And since I am the next generation, you better start getting onto the same page as us. So that's sort of the underlying dynamic that is going on there. And it's fascinating to sort of watch as it unfolds. So one of those two parties, the NDP or the Green Party, are very, very likely to be the party that forms a coalition with the winning party to kind of create that majority government rule thing. So that hasn't been sorted out, okay? That literally is still up in the air. We don't know who the winner is going to be. We don't know how that's going to come to pass. But both campaigns are going to have their ups and their downs. But okay, so I'm going to pull a couple of cards and let's just look at, we're going to get these out of the way, and let's just look at Singh, and let's see how the NDP and Jasmeet Singh are doing. Okay, so in some ways, the NDP party is against a bit of a wall here because when provinces have voted in an NDP government, while there has been great expansion on things like social programs and security netting and, you know, all of the things that people want to have their government do and provide. But there has also been that sense of the NDP really, hello, Ellie, excuse me. Say hi. Hold on. There, say hi. This is Ellie. She's 2. She's a diva. And she's a princess. But she is cute. Now go away and don't jump on my table again, you brat. All right. There has been a sense with the NDP that budgets tend to go wonky, right? Like spending sort of is out of control. Now, whether that is actually true is sort of beside the point once the feeling or the attitude has been kind of set, into the calculations. So that's part of what they're actually going to have to do, is they're going to have to start putting out some really clear ideas about how they're going to incorporate the things they want incorporated, but yet, still stay within something that resembles, a budget. So there's that. They're going to have some moments of gold, kind of, moments where they really sort of surge to the forefront and they're doing really, really well. But they're going to have to remember that it needs to be tempered by this sense of we're listening, we hear you. There are things that need to be put in place for the betterment of society, and society can't become bettered if it's continually in the hole. So they just have a really interesting dichotomy they're dealing with, and it's going, time is going to tell over the next couple of weeks if they're going to be able to actually solve this problem. And this literally represents Elizabeth May. So she is going to give them a run for their money. Do not make any mistake there. Again, it's like this constant defensive posture. It's like defense, offense. And it just seems like that's going to be the energy of this election. So overall, I will say that his campaign, the NDP campaign, is hitting the right emotional chords with those who are liking the NDP party and what they stand for. And one sort of gets the feeling from this that they're really not antagonizing anybody. You sort of get the feeling that it is really not so much it's not so much that they're going to upset anybody or annoy anybody. They're just sort of going to move forward nice and slowly. And at the end of the day, they're going to have enough votes to help create that majority party, or they won't. But along the way, they're not doing themselves sort of any political harm, which is not a bad thing, because that then puts them in a much stronger position going forward in terms of, provincial elections, civic elections, that kind of thing. So there is a sense that in some ways they're actually gaining momentum, but it's slow. It is not like a shooting star rush to the top. It's going to be a very sort of slow, methodical rebuilding of the NDP party. I mean, the NDP party in its own way really has not recovered from, Jack Layton? His passing. Because it was after that it kind of felt like the NDP was sort of scrambling to sort of get their foundation again. And so this very slow, sort of gradual movement forward is not a bad thing. It's really not. It's actually kind of, a good thing. Okay, so I'm going to incorporate these cards and I'm going to reshuffle. And we're going to focus on Elizabeth May and the Green Party. Certainly, the climate, the health of the planet is becoming, it's not becoming, but it's being recognized now, finally, as a crisis situation. And that appears to be certainly globally, as the weather becomes more extreme. There's fires, there's droughts, there's floods. I mean, God almighty, all we need now is the locusts. And that's probably happening somewhere too, just haven't heard about it. So this is, this is the thing, right? It's, we need to be really mindful, no matter who gets elected, that the priority has to be the priority has to be ensuring that no matter what party you are, you're cognizant of the fact that there's a crisis with the planet, and that has to be addressed on every possible level, in every possible way, because if not, there's not going to be a planet that is healthy enough to sustain life. A long time ago, and if I knew where I heard it, I would willingly give them credit, but I don't know where I heard it, so I can't. And this was a good long time ago that I heard this. Every living organism has a instinctive need and desire and will to live. We do not sort of feel that death is kind of like, okay, well, that's just what we're doing on Tuesday. There is really a sense of sustaining and keeping our survivability going. And when push comes to shove, any living being will do whatever they can to protect their life. ... The planet is a living organism. What will it do to protect its life? It's a scary thought, isn't it? It really is a scary thought. All right, Elizabeth May. Green Elizabeth May, green Elizabeth May, green Elizabeth May. Come on down. Okay, so right now in her little campaign situation, there's another tempest in a teapot going on with the photoshopping of a biodegradable something and a metal straw. I mean, ridiculousness. And again, this is backfiring. Whoever is trying to ramp this up and build these things up into big, huge deals is literally shooting themselves in the foot, because it's not gaining traction. We are not that country where it is going to gain traction. It's just not how it works here. So they're sort of, what they're doing is they're annoying people. They're antagonizing people by these silly little antics. She's in a bump right now, and they're going to struggle a little bit to hang on. But they're going to be able to pull back from this. There's going to be a sense that they can recover from this. They can walk away from it. Literally, they can walk away from the fuss and let things calm down. So, this is typically about a victory. Being disappointed, but turning around and moving forward. This one, though, is really interesting because the Two of Cups talks about partnerships. It talks about unions that are beneficial to both situations, people, whatever. It's a very balanced, you help me and I help you. It's not a quid pro quo as much as, if you think of this in terms of people, you would say these are two people who are just completely, in rhythm with each other. They're in sync. They're soulmates. They found a partner that they can live and work with. In terms of a government reading, this is curious because it makes me wonder if they are not going to be the ones forming a partnership to create a majority government. Queen of Cups is her. This is Elizabeth May's card. I hope I remember that the next time. We have another Queen. We have a Page of Cups. So we have some good news coming on an emotional level for Elizabeth May and for the Green Party. So they're in a bit of a bump now. They're going to move forward. And yeah, you know what? Honestly, this is actually starting to look that they may very well gain enough traction to get ahead of the NDP. And if the Liberals get in, that would be a very nice relationship, a nice balance, where, you know, if the Conservatives get in, I'm not even so sure that Elizabeth May would be interested in helping to make them a majority government, because it feels very much like the two are not at all on the same page. All right. So, here we sit right now. So right now, I guess all I can say is that energetically, it feels as if the Liberals are at some point going to start gaining a little bit of momentum and pull ahead. Conservatives are going to pull ahead. The Liberals are going to pull ahead again. Energetically, I think that the Liberals are going to win with a majority government. I have said that before. It would not surprise me either the NDP or the Green Party coming together to form a majority with Liberal partnership. I don't quite see that same open embrace towards the Conservative Party. In some way, this is like the eternal pull and push, right? It's like I am holding on as tight to the way of life I grew up with, and I'm not letting that go. And the other side is like, we are moving forward, whether that makes you uncomfortable or not. We have no choice. We need to start getting into an attitude where we're making headway with some of these really significant problems. So, I don't know how helpful that was. It feels just sort of like the Liberals and the Conservatives are doing their thing, and the Green Party and the DP are kind of doing their thing. And within those two groups, it really does feel very balanced. So there's still weeks to go. And so it'll be interesting to see how this dynamic changes, because certainly right now, it's just looking very stable. No fireworks, but no disasters. So that's what I know right now. So for now, that's it. I will see you again next week with another Canadian political reading. Thank you so much for watching and your comments and your likes. It's a much smaller audience that I'm attracting, of course, with Canadian readings than the insanity in the States. So I'm very, very grateful for the likes and the comments and the appreciations, and of course any subscriptions that come my way as a result of this. I am, very, very appreciative for that also. So until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you real soon now. Bye.